Alright guys, it's now that time of the month where I have to let you know about what's going to be coming to the NA version of the game for the month of May. And unfortunately, I'm kind of dubbing May more of a maintenance month. We should be getting a new story chapter with how they're kind of pushing some of the things up a little more early, but this month is a lot of goodies and such that we'll be getting, you know, St. Quartz tickets, apples, all that good stuff. But really outside of that, there doesn't seem like there's going to be a whole lot of actual events going live during this month. Again, unless they maybe push some things forward, but I don't think they really will. Maybe we'll get Traum a little bit early. In fact, we probably should get it during this month, but I call it a maintenance month because we're just going to be getting a lot of very good things coming into the game, and it's going to be kind of rewarding. It's just not a whole lot to do. But I will be telling you all the goodies that we will be getting during this month. And hey, for some of you guys that have been feeling a little overwhelmed over here on the NA side of things because it's been event after event after event, personally, I like it that way, so there's always something to talk about. But if you want a little bit of a break or you want to go play Star Rail or something else, this is now your month to kind of take a little bit of a break, at least more until the end of the month when we start getting content dropping. But I'm going to break it all down for you in this video. So make sure you drop a like in the video, but more importantly, subscribe to the channel if you like being informed on the goings-on of both versions of the game. With that being said, let's start jumping right into this. So the first thing we should be seeing rather soon over here on the NA side of things is the beginning of the pre-release campaign for Traum, which, like I mentioned earlier, will be bringing some goodies for us because it's going to bring a lot of interludes that for servants that you do not own. You know, you can see that Bradamante, Vlad, Sherlock, Siegfried, all these dudes are getting their interludes available, so you can kind of get up to date on their story, but more importantly, also get a couple of Saint Quartz for doing these interludes. And that's what I kind of mean, you know. I get that interludes aren't the most exciting thing, especially if you don't care about a lot of the characters. Now, for me, it's always interesting. I love getting the lore, but at the very least, it's some Saint Quartz, and we do have those missions where every 10 interludes, you get 10 Saint Quartz, so this can definitely help you out in getting to one of those milestones, so it's kind of nice, I suppose. They're also going to reduce the AP for the main quest stuff as well to make sure that you can get to Traum quick, fast, and in a hurry. I believe Arc 1 and 2 are a 4th AP, and Lost Belt 6 specifically is at half AP. Same thing for the free quest as well, so if you need to get any free quests done, you know, those are also going to be half AP, but this is not, you know, if you need to go farm them, because it's only for the first 3 times of you trying to clear the free quest. But hey, if you need to go clean up on some of those and get some Saint Quartz, it's very nice for that. We do have a decent bit of missions over here. As you guys may have known, for the 20 million download campaign, we did finally get blue apples. And for being caught up to Lost Belt 6, you will get 30 of those, 300 mana prisms, 5 gold apples, which I know I'm personally looking forward to, 3 rare mana prisms, and a lore. Lord knows I need that lore as well. Again, all of these are very, very nice things, and during this month, you could just be using your blue apples to just conserve AP and stuff and start building up a nice stock of them for whatever event you want to go farm. The Biken event's going to be very good. Summer 7's going to be very good. Obviously, there's a lotto at the very end of the year with Morgan. You could save him for that. Just kind of nice things. You also get a free ticket for Constantine's trial quest. It's going to be coming out, so even if you're not summoning for him, you got to thank him for at least giving you that extra ticket, and who knows, that ticket could be the difference between you and pulling Charlemagne or Ruler Moriarty or even Archetype Earth for Anniversary. But speaking of that boy Constantine, he's going to be going up on Raid Up, and he's kind of a strange unit. I have been tinkering around with him over on the JP side of things, trying to figure out how I feel about this guy. Bottom line is, I don't think you should summon for him. He is kind of one of those more niche characters, I think. Not bad, but kind of hard to find a place for him. I think these type of servants that are kind of secondary style supports, you know, start thinking of your Sherlocks, you know, your 3rd string type supports that you might be bringing in, or like a Tamamo or something. I think the problem with them, or I guess even Miss Crane, is that they just cost too much as 5 stars. You're already loading up on probably like a 5-star DPS, or at least a 4-star with a 5-star CE, and then you've got your 2 supports that are probably 5 stars because you don't Castoria, Clay, and Skya with their own 5-star CE, and then trying to load up an additional sub-support with potentially their own CE as well. It just gets too costly. I think people like Constantine, and I guess even by extension people like Miss Crane, Tamam, and all them, might see more support in a lot of these team comps if you could actually raise the team cost of your team. So hopefully Lasengel does that, because then maybe you could find a spot for him. He's definitely very weird, but unless you're a big fan of the Byzantine Empire, I think I'm getting my history facts correct with Constantine. Unless you're a fan of them, then I don't really see a reason to go summon for this guy, especially with the actual main banners we're going to be getting for Traum. And since we're talking about the pre-release campaign, we'll also talk about the part 2 of the pre-release campaign, where you are going to be getting a gold apple and a quartz every single day for 7 days, so make sure you're logging in to stock back up on those. But also, if you missed out on Tunguska Sanctuary, you can go replay that, get yourself a nice fat bit of quartz, because there's a decent bit of free quests in there, and it'll be absolutely free of no cost. And you do want to make sure that you do finish Tunguska Sanctuary, because it will give you 10 Saint Quartz just for finishing it, which is kind of nice. We also get 7 unique quests during this week period. So you log in, you get a gold apple, a Saint Quartz, and then you get like some Constantine mission that you got to go do. They give you faux pas. I guess there's no real reason not to do them. They're, I guess, like mini challenge quests, because they're not that difficult, but they're not exactly farming nodes either. I mean, like the Romulus one, the last one, there's just a metric butt ton of guys going on that one, and it's 5 or so nodes long. So I guess they're not really farming nodes, but they're not exactly CQs either. I don't know. It's some weird sweet spot. If you really want to use Constantine, just use him during those and see if he's worth, going for. Maybe you could use that as a test, because he's going to be NP3 and, leveled up. So you can at least kind of get a good gauge for him. This will also bring Taigong and Dobrania back, or Nikki as I like to call her. Taigong I do think is very, very good, but because he's not limited or story locked, I would recommend, maybe saving to pick him up with a 5-star ticket that we could get in the future, because, you can already pick up Waiver for finishing Fuyuki. If you want to pick up Taigong because you really like quick farming, or you like Taigong, you like whatever, he's a good unit overall, you can just pick him up with a 5-star ticket, or hope you get lucky and get spooked on him in the future. Obviously, if you do want to go summon for him, I mean, I think he's worth it. I think he's very, very strong, but we have some pretty good limited servants coming up right after this. Now, I don't know if they're going to drop the advanced quest before Traum actually drops, or they're going to drop it in that in-between period, so we technically have something to do during kind of the pre-release waiting period. But these 3 are where, I'm not going to say things get annoying, but they start to get a bit more gimmicky, because this is when they start to introduce, if you bring specific servants, they'll get specific buffs, or they can alter the fight in some way. Except for the Hermit Crab fight. This is literally just the exact same CQ that we just had over on the Tesselfest thing, except I don't believe all of them have the 99% damage resistance. It's like 6 of them have it, but make sure you're bringing guys that can not only do damage over time, because that's going to be the main way you get through this quest, but also make sure you have somebody that can kind of cleanse the poison that they're going to be doing to you. If you can do that, just some standard, I don't know, Castoria Merlin team. If you want to, you can refit their command cards as well. So Castoria and Merlin are also burning and poisoning as well as you go through. That gives you some sustain, and then you could bring even a Summer Jolt, or just someone who can apply a bunch of burn or poison or curse or whatever have you. If you can do Evil Curse, or like the Severe Burn, Toxin, where it amps the amount of damage over time you do, you can get through this a lot faster. The Lancelot fight, I'm not gonna lie, I just blitzed through this one on JP, because he can hit kind of hard, and the bladed insects that he has alongside him, he will tribute those enemies to kind of do like NP seal, or a stun, or a skill seal. But Lancelot himself only has 303,000 HP, which if you have a decent built up boss, especially if you're taking advantage of his traits, you can pretty effectively just one-turn this guy. Funny enough, basically, if you bring any Saberface, they will get taunted for 3 turns, so they'll take all the debuffs. So just be a little warned if you were going to be bringing in, say, like normal Artoria, because you wanted to reenact Fate Zero for some reason. She will get taunted and then, bursted down by Lancelot and all the bugs. So just keep that in mind, or you can use that to your advantage and just have the Saberfaces take all the aggro. And then finally, there's the Hector fight, which this one can be a little bit annoying, because Hector over here has 1,000,000 damage cut for 15 times, and he already gives himself 1 hit of invincibility at the start of every turn, or I guess at the end of every turn. It's going to be the same for you anyway. Basically, it's going to take you about 8 turns if you're just consistently doing 3-card hits, because one guy has to remove the invincibility, then the other 2 hits will remove 1 of the instances of damage cut. Really wish we had the free-to-play from the current collab over on JP, because that would make this way easier, because we just bypass all this. The other annoying thing is that not only do you have to kind of sustain your way through the damage cut, but you also do have to worry about the fact that whenever he's going to use his NP, he removes the latest defensive buff from all of the enemies. So if Solemn Defense is your most recent defensive buff, that's going to get yeeted, and then Hector's going to throw a big stick at you. That kind of sucks. If you do bring Achilles, he gets type advantage against Hector, and he does get Pierce Invincibility to kind of make your life a bit easier. Also, if you're consistently attacking Hector, which I know can be kind of hard if you're also trying to juggle, say, Castoria Merlin NP or double Merlin NPs to kind of keep your sustain up. I know that, consistently attacking might be a little bit hard with that, but as long as you're consistently hitting him, you will actually kind of reduce his NP gauge as you're fighting, because you'll hit him with this castle attack trait, and anytime he hits 7 of those, it'll decrease his NP gauge by 1, so you can kind of mitigate his NP a little bit. A little annoying, but it's still not all that difficult, Just bring a team that can kind of sustain their way through. But now we have the big shebang that should be coming for the month of May, and that is going to be the Traum chapter release, which I myself am kind of hyped about, because I've been really looking forward to being able to actually read this, especially because people said it's a very weird story chapter, so I'm kind of looking forward to seeing why things are weird. We are getting 2 new mats with this one, so yay, more farming. Make sure you start getting to farming those up for any future servants that you might want that use these 2 new items. Also, be aware that the CE's Primeval Curse, Projection, Be Elegant, and God's Tongue are no longer going to be available after the Traum banner. So if you are wanting to get those done, maybe pick up those CEs from the 20 million download campaign. None of them are particularly insane, but if you're a collector like I am and you kind of just want to have everything, that's just something to be mindful of. We are getting 3 summoning banners for the Traum event. The first one is going to feature Charlemagne, who is a pretty decent quick AoE looper, but unlike, say, Okita Alter, the summer version, he's not quite as good as looping, but he's a little better in challenge quests, especially after his most recent buff for the White Day event over on JP. So that's kind of the trade-off. He can loop if you like Charlemagne from Extella Link. You can still use him. He'll be fine. But he's going to be a little worse off than, say, Okita Alter, because Okita Alter's built more to loop. Charlemagne's built a little bit more to actually, take down challenge quests and stuff along those lines. Kriemhild will also be on raid up on this banner, and she is very, very strong. I never regretted summoning for this unit. She's just a solid single target arts berserker that has a nice taunt to keep herself safe, a fat 50% battery. Her damage at NP1 can be a little middling, but she's also rocking a pretty decent power mod as well. And even though the taunt is kind of her only form of survivability by kind of throwing that on somebody else, you're going to run her with double Castoria or Castoria Proto Merlin anyway, so she'll probably be safe. Roland gets a lot of hate. He's also a 4-star that's going to be on this banner as a single target Buster Saber. I think he gets a lot of hate because people look at his stats and they're like, oh, these are very low values, but the cooldowns on his skills are very, very low, so he's kind of intended to be a burst servant, with him getting stuff like 10% NP every other turn. I'm not saying he's an absolute godsend of a servant, but he is better than people give him credit for. So if you do get him, especially at higher NP copies, I encourage you to try him out. One other thing to maybe look out for if you are going to be going on to this banner is the Space Ishtar CE, the average 1 wielder of 5 great elements. It is an attack CE, which we love to see, that gives you 15% buster and 2 stages of overcharge for 1 time. So that can always be very, very nice. Overcharge CEs are always useful. Unfortunately, if you max limit break it, that buster only goes from 15 to 20%. You don't really get anything more from that, aside from the bonus attack from, fully leveling it up. But it is kind of notable. Kind of keep your eye out on that one. It is pretty decent. The second banner is going to feature Moriarty Ruler, who is an AoE arts ruler. He can loop, but he struggles a little bit with that. I would definitely recommend more bringing him to challenge quest style content, as in those fights you can actually take advantage of his natural bulk from being a ruler. But if you are going to use him for farming, his power mods are fairly decent, so I guess be notable of that. Don Quixote is the 4-star that's going to be featured on Moriarty's banner. He is fairly decent. I mean, With the Legends of Don Quixote being, well, the Legends of Don Quixote, I thought he was going to be a bit more of a goofnut servant, and he does have like the power mod against giant enemies, which I find very funny, but overall, he's actually just a solid single target quick lancer. If you're lacking something in this area, maybe you don't want to use Ku anymore for whatever reason, you could break this guy out. He's not too bad.